welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hello, I'm Larry.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going to be going over a play written by Eugene Ionesco, and it was one of his most recognizable, and that is The Bald Soprano. The discussion starter I have for this work is...
Wait. You can't hear all
Do you believe this play says a lot about humanity and their interactions with one another?
Oh my goodness, crickets! I can't sing, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say no. This play is useful as a critique of certain worldviews, but I don't think that it is representative of any kind of reality whatsoever.
I think that when you look at it deeply, this is friggin' brilliant. I think that if you really think about it, you have the interaction between Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I love how it's... I can't help but read it off. A middle-class English interior with English armchairs, an English evening, Mr. Smith, an Englishman, seated in his English armchair and wearing English slippers,
eating English muffins,
is smoking his English pipe and reading an English newspaper, reading an English fire, or near an English fire. He is wearing English spectacles and a small gray English mustache. Beside him, in another English armchair, Mrs. Smith, an English woman, is darning some English socks. A long moment of English silence. The English clock strikes 17 English strokes, and then Mrs. Smith just continues that off. There, it's 9 o'clock, we've drunk the soup and eaten the fish and chips.
I love fish and chips.
And the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Smith. So it's so self-deprecating. I think it's just common that somebody engages in this one-sided, what sounds like a pointless, it's a conversation that pretty much is just random thoughts, and Mr. Smith doesn't get involved until he finds something that really interests him.
So wait, they're English?
Yes. That, I think you can pretty much assure yourself of that after he mentions it for the third time.
And then it's just a series of non sequiturs and senselessness, basically, for however many scenes it is.
I think that's the point that they're trying to get at. The details change all the time, where it's very often that people will say one thing one moment, and then, oh no, it's this thing. Oh, no, it's this thing. And they're very hell-bent on the fact that they're correct. And then you have the Martins, who have no idea who one another is, and that whole idea of, do you really know your spouse?
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that you actually sleep with them.
Well, here's how I would know.
I guess that's an interesting point, right?
Yeah,
that's what finally convinces them that they are each other, and the daughter, I guess.
And probably the best part is, there are some things that just are not debatable, and yet they feel that they are.
That they're English?
Like, this is a book. In this play, there are people that would argue that this is not a book.
It's a book.
Yeah.
How is that not a book? How would we see this?
Just ask Mrs. Smith.
Well, I don't want to.
She would argue that this is not a book, because somebody ringing the doorbell when somebody's not there. Or she checks it and there's nobody there. With the doorbell, somebody has to be pressing the bell.
And I'm good at pushing buttons.
So it's finally evident that the fire chief is there, and obviously he decided to step aside. But
he said he hit himself too.
Yeah,
because he was English.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get over that. They're English.
I
thought they were British. Or Italian.
No, they were English. Quite English.
It's the theater of the absurd, so it's pointing at the fact that humanity is so inconsistent with their way of thinking.
No, I'm not.
And
yes,
they think so pointlessly and frivolously, but at the same time, they think that
that they can justify it. And then
their bad excrement is actually gospel.
But is there such a thing as truth and reality? Like, I mean, to me,
it depends.
that is obviously...
You had to go open the
in the eyes of-
philosophical hole.
It all depends on humanity creates that structure.
No.
Yeah, what?
Humanity doesn't create truth. Truth is objective. Truth exists.
I mean,
So that
from what
might be-
humanity
There we go.
feels, from
No.
in the eyes of humanity, they create their boundaries, and what is truth? Yeah, it's a matter of what society has created to be
No.
the boundary.
See, that's all cultural relativism. That's all nonsense. Truth is real. It's objective. It exists whether we recognize it or not. Now we can increase our level of understanding of the objective reality, but it exists. It is existential, and I think that's probably a big reason why you like this place so much and why I can't stand it. I find it frustrating, irritating, and annoying, is because from the worldview that you're talking about, where there is nothing outside of what we think up, and everything that we think up is subjective and not related to any kind of outside external reality, then this play would actually be how human interaction went, and how it actually would be, where people would just be standing around repeating a bunch of non sequiturs.
And when you look at it from the greater picture, it actually is.
No, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is.
I know why I'm here. I'm dividing
When you
this.
turn to the just at the ending, it reminds me of the Monkey song "I'm Going Down," where it's just this spatter of these random thoughts. Also, kind of like "We Didn't Start the Fire,"
Yes, I
where Billy Joel just spouts the names of historical figures. There are
In chronological order.
he does it at least in chronological order, but
Yes.
But in this, there is no chronological.
in this, they're harping at the idea that the things that people argue about are somewhat often very frivolous, and in the greater picture, it's completely frivolous.
You know,
When they just those random thoughts, they just sometimes people are so passionate about their arguments, they just stop making sense.
you know, I'm gonna.
But even making sense, right, points to something that there is something outside of our own subjective nature, right? That we can make sense out of. And the fact that I am communicating to you and you know what I'm saying or understand what I'm saying, and vice versa, implies that there is more to reality than just that which we make up. So that's my point of view.
Now, I had something I was going to say, and it was actually going to be intelligent for a change, but now I forgot what it was. No, I mean, getting back to truth, since you opened up that philosophical hole, to me it's a philosophical hole. Once you start speaking about truth, to me that's, yeah, you got to get some religion in there, you might get some of the P word in there, I can tell you a dirty joke,
What's the P word? Politics?
yeah, that one.
No.
You could say,
Don't get Larry started on
no, I'm not.
politics.
But I was going to say, there's another. I mean, that word is cleaner than the word penis. Okay, I said it. There, I said penis. But I'd rather hear that word over the other P
The
word.
dirtiest
That
P word has 4 letters in it.
No, it's
Porn.
According to George Carlin, it's piss.
Ah, piss.
But
That's one of the words you can't say on television.
I mean, you get the fire chief who starts by saying that he has
Joel
a.
Osment.
He starts by saying he's going to tell a real life story, something that really happened, and it turns into a fable about the dog and the cow.
Right, it's a fable, but then it doesn't have a
So-
moral.
He talks himself into he downgrades himself into what he's actually going to say, and it's just so interesting to see how people have such a great deal of confidence with what it is that they're saying, and then when they finally say it, it turns out to be
you can't understand it.
It's
babble. It's baby talk.
it is. It's just incredible how Ionesco sees humanity through this piece, and how
To me, it's contemptuous the way he sees humanity. He wanted the ending to be where the characters turned machine guns on the audience. This is like, it's hatred. I don't see it as positive.
I think that seeing this in person would be an experience.
We get shot at.
I was laughing.
Well, he didn't go with that ending.
I was laughing hysterically. I know that
Instead, he went with the ending that he went with, where
Everyone else
the
got a pie in the
Martins,
face.
the Martins and the Smiths essentially reverse themselves, right? Where the Martins or the Smiths at the end.
In the original, it was originally it was the Smiths starting over again, but then after the 100th performance, according to this, they switched roles, the Smiths and the Martins.
Mm-hmm. No, they didn't.
And the author said that the reason that he did that was because he wanted to portray the meaning that the characters are interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me says he's got contempt for his characters too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't take enjoyment in somebody who does not like anything about what he's doing. He doesn't like the audience. He doesn't like his own characters. To me, it's just it's nonsense.
I thought it was,
and I think that's quite apt. I mean, it is nonsense.
Nonsensually brilliant.
To me, that's an oxymoron and a contradiction in terms.
Yeah.
You can't be nonsensically brilliant.
I've watched enough Marx Brothers. Absurdism is. I like absurdism. I think that it says a lot about humanity and.
Because humanity can be in time at times.
Can be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
humanity. The structure of humanity is quite absurd.
That's what I was going to say earlier.
Just,
that's what I'm trying to go on.
I mean, the one that's probably the most, at this point, the one that is compared the most to Ionesco is Samuel Beckett, and I think that Rennie made an interesting point saying that Ionesco was a little bit better than Beckett, but I think with Ionesco there's a little bit more substance to his content. With Beckett, I think that his ideas are brilliant, but I feel that I think that he intentionally does not incorporate as much detail. He's a little bit less eccentric than Ionesco because this is
I prefer Beckett. I think Beckett is, from what we've read of him, got more to say about the human condition from a certain perspective. Whereas this, I think it's useful as a critique of relativism to say, look, right, if it's true that humanity is incapable of knowing truth and there is no truth and that everything that we do is just kind of subjective and made up, then that is how the world would look. But the world doesn't look that way. Clocks ring the amount of times that are required for them to ring. When the doorbell rings, there is somebody there, and it's not dependent on who opens the door.
Somebody was there from the get-go. It couldn't possibly be that nobody was at the door, but
there was nobody there.
Like according to Mrs. Smith.
Oh, so you're saying Mrs. Smith is lying?
She might be a sociopath.
There was nobody there at the moment, but there was somebody ringing the bell.
Now let me ask you this.
But
what if it was...
It wasn't the fireman. He said it wasn't him.
What if it was somebody playing ding... And I don't mean this to be funny. I'm not
you mean Ding Dong Ditch?
Yeah, what if somebody was playing Ding Dong Ditch? You know, because that's happened to me before.
While the fire chief was standing there.
Yeah.
While the fire chief was standing there. So, and he didn't know who rang the bell.
That's what gets me. But
it's absurd.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I like absurd, but this made me question a lot of things, especially my newfound drinking habit.
I would say, what are you drinking? Snapple?
Shush. Just kidding. No, it's, I was going to say, this made me drink. I mean, and I'm not a drinker.
Well, it will.
I'm not a drinker, but I like the funny, absurd, I like that, but this to me was just like, wait a minute, what? I had to start questioning, like, I had to go through the ABCs a few times just to make sure I was still myself. But I loved it.
I think loved it. At some point you begin to realize that that's where it's going. It's predictable in how nothing is going to add up.
Right, yeah, and that's pretty evident.
Yeah, and that's what he's getting at.
Oh, so question.
He's getting at nothing.
These are drumsticks. For those of you who don't know, I'm a drummer. And for those of you who do know, go with me. Someone can say these are Firestarters. Well, the only time I started a fire with drumsticks is when they had metal tips, but I'm not going into that. What do you see?
I see drumsticks.
What do you see?
They're drumsticks.
I see drumsticks as well. However, you can technically take a marshmallow, put it on here. Now this may not really, but you could technically put a marshmallow on this and roast it over the stove or a fire.
Okay, you don't have permission to start a fire.
Well, I'm not going to. Not on purpose, obviously. And there was something else I was going with. Other people will look at these and say, they're sticks. They're just sticks. They're plain sticks. Well, not really plain sticks. Another thing I could say relating I'll be very brief on it. Someone looks at a car or whatnot, anything, and they say, that's not a car. Well, it has an engine, has wheels, but it's maybe a bus. So,
You're talking about categories.
Yeah, well, in a way, yeah, but that's
Do they exist?
Yeah.
Right? Are categories real? Do they actually mean anything?
Well, who made categories? And I'm not talking about the game categories. I know, stupid joke, but
It was created by humanity.
yeah.
No.
I mean, this is a battle of humanity.
Humanity
did not create categories. Categories exist outside of humankind. We discovered them, but they're still existing. Like if we weren't around, a cat would still be a cat.
called a cat. We're the ones that classified the term cat.
Yeah. Right. The name cat. But the name cat, right, in Spanish it's gato. In every other language there's a name for it because the category exists outside of culture, outside of human understanding. It is an existential existential reality.
We see a different, for Watership Down, Richard Adams actually, he had a very interesting concept in how he had the rabbits thought and worshipped in their own way.
I like rabbits.
They had their own biblical-like structure and savior and their whatnot.
We've all been ingrained in our heads. 2 + 2 is 4. Somebody, I don't know if he's a scientist or whatnot, was able to say 2 + 2 is 5. How is 2 + 2? I can't do math either.
2 + 2
is 4. But
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Where's the fifth one?
Exactly. But this person, I'm not mentioning names, but he was so hell-bent proving 2 + 2 was 5. I'm sorry, where do you get that fifth finger? Where do you get that? I don't know.
Can't be done.
How? Exactly. Right.
Right.
How did you? But and he had all of these. I mean, this guy, good friend. I mean, we're not friends anymore, but I steer clear now. But proving. He had a shirt. 2 + 2 is 5. No, it's not. 2 + 2 is 4. And if you want
it's like that Abbott and Costello with 7 + 7 is 28.
Yeah. And,
it reminds me of 1984, right? Or 2 + 2 = 5.
It's 4.
The double speak
for the party.
Yeah. Well, still.
The party tells you 2 + 2 = 5, and it equals 5.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
That was the idea.
Oh, yeah. But
there.
It's like, I'm sorry, but that's, to me, again, that's how I see it as well.
Right, yes, because 2 + 2 is 4.
Exactly.
Yes, objectively. It's not up to the human imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one can't be argued.
If I have 2 cookies and I eat 2 more, I've consumed 4 cookies.
Alrighty then, do we have any final thoughts?
I'm dizzy. Gonna be completely honest. This made me dizzy.
I will say one thing. I will say that one thing I liked about it was the exchange around the doorbell. I thought that was the best part of the whole play. I thought that was actually funny. The rest of it is just a series of non sequiturs, very tedious to me, because it's like you got these ideas and they're just talking about
it's a complete opposite of tedious, because things are happening all the time. You have the discussions between the Smiths that take on the general after dinner discussion where the one spouse is just more interested in what they're doing when the other one has their own interests that they want to explain. Then you have the couple that is it's reflective to that idea of why are these 2 people married in the first place.
That was the worst part, was the Martins and that whole discourse going back and forth about, that is tedious, where I was on the train. What a coincidence! I was on the train, and this, and then just back and forth, back and forth. It's like, all right, we get it.
It's just the whole idea that they recall that they're not that they're actually married to one another.
But they're not really, according to the maid.
Oh my God! Stop, please.
The maid going out on her date.
I mean Sherlock Holmes. Where she says they're not married because the child's red eye is on the left side and not on the right, and all this, right? Like, that's a critique of logic. That's what it's doing. It's not just about humans interacting and talking past one another. It's getting to the point, and the clock ticking 20 times, 30 times, or whatever. That's all saying that reality is nonsense.
It is.
It is.
Oh yes, it is very, the way that we as humanity perceive reality is nonsensical.
Can I have my phone? I want to order some pizza in Chinese.
If that were true, we wouldn't have computers. We wouldn't have science. We wouldn't have math.
There's people that do take life seriously. There's others that, I mean, just if you watch enough of TikTok,
Just because
people put as much effort into discovering cures for diseases and inventions and advancements in technology than they do with
punching themselves in the, just for that passes for
just
entertainment.
random nonsensical dances, the flossing and the dabbing and whatnot.
I said that.
It's this whole look at me, I'm doing something nonsensical.
That's what this play is. Look at me, I'm doing something nonsensical.
I mean, all right.
Am I relatable or am I
you call that brilliant? And it's not. It's just look at me.
This is a critique on that. That's what's brilliant about it. It's not them saying look at me. It's the fact that they're saying look at me, and it's a joke. So
Don't ask what's in this, I won't tell.
Poor Charlie. I think we've made Charlie uncomfortable enough for one episode.
We're both thinking the same way. Only you're thinking that this train of thought is wrong,
I like trains.
the way that this is being approached is wrong. But the way that I see it's being approached is amazing. It's right. It's brilliant. Not them, but the way that it's being critiqued.
It's just a bunch of nonsense and it's saying this is what humanity is. This is what reality. No.
Can we talk
already? How would we rate this? 0 to 5 stars with half stars per minute, Larry.
I'm going with 1 star. That's how much I dislike it. The doorbell scene was not enough to save it, although I did laugh at it.
Charlie?
I'm going to give it a 3.
He splits the middle.
I'm going to give it a 5. for the genre of the play, for the category of the play, I think that this is amazing because it does.
I agree with that.
I agree
with that.
It does everything that it needs to in order to fulfill its
purposelessness.
You could say that, but it succeeds. It succeeds.
Yes, it succeeds at being nonsense.
Can I say?
And it succeeds at being
success.
Yes, it is. And I mean,
it's look at me. I'm nonsensical.
Well, so am I.
If I were to go see this, if I were to go see an adaptation, it would be a riot.
Can I say one thing?
Yes,
please.
Can I have a refill?
I feel like yeah.
Is this when the clock's supposed to ring 15 times?
Oh, that clock. Told you I'm not a drinker, folks. But, go on, keep going.
Already, if you are interested in picking up this book of plays, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yes. We do need a getaway. We do need some kind of stupidity to take our minds off the stuff that's going on. I mean, yes, we like the Greeks.
This play does that. I was feeling a little bit low when I approached it, and I forgot about my worries as I was reading it.
That's what a lot of literature is supposed to. Most literature, you have literature that is academic and for this and for that, but you have literature like this, which is meant for fun, yes, and to poke tongue in cheek, but you also. Enough's enough after a while, I mean, again, with me, same here. I can be a complete, total babbling moron at times, but I know when enough is enough.
And enough was enough after the first scene.
I say nothing more on that. All as I say is to my band, thank you, because I like mead.
Alrighty, if you are interested in picking up this and Eugene Ionesco's other plays, here is a copy.
I start drinking, literally.
This is The Bald Soprano and Other Plays, which features The Bald Soprano, The Lesson, Jack or the Submission,
excuse me,
and The Chairs. This was translated into English by Donald M. Allen. And there's more.
We're in Josh's library, just so you know.
If you would like to look into his other plays, here are more collections.
Josh is a big fan.
Yep.
I'm neutral. I like Switzerland neutral.
I got many of these either from Labyrinth I got this. This is the first one I got. I discovered it from Hooked on Books in Wildwood. I got many more of them at Labyrinth Books in Princeton, and then I rounded it off on Amazon. But thank you for tuning into this discussion. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel.
I do not condone drinking, only in moderation.
If you like what you see, please subscribe to our channel for more, and be sure to give this video a good old like, and if you have anything to contribute to the discussion, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and we would be happy to keep this discussion going. I think even Larry would be happy to keep discussing.
And if that means
Absolutely.
And if I have to sit in the middle again, I will.
Alrighty. Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading. Hi there, this is Josh, and on the next episode of Literary Gladiators, Dominica, Charlie, and I will be discussing The Penguin Lessons by Tom Michel. If you like what you see on our channel, please support us on our Patreon, because the money that we receive will give us the ability to provide you, the viewer, with more content. Thank you, and for now, keep reading.